Alright, it's 2021, and it's September 15th, 2021. I went out on the boulevard for my last umbrella walk. I had my pink umbrella, not the gigantic green and black one. I saw James earlier, and I showed him. Now, James, the MIB pug, he's got lemur pugs. I showed him this and this. He's verifiable. I showed it to this white guy, Bob. I only showed it to white guys. I showed it to this white guy, Bob, who I've seen in the neighborhood and I spoke to. And then one day, I was going to see about an open house that caught my attention during an event of whatever, and it sent me into the direction of Bob on his front porch, which I couldn't get myself back there if I wanted to, but I thought that was weird. So I saw him on the street today, so I know, I mean, he looks like he's a resident. So I showed him the same pins, and I told him the story about 1988, that I did not know the gentleman's name. It was a one-time surprise event. Linda and Lou took me to church on Sunday as usual. Typical Sunday morning, going to the Sunday school. And when I got there, there was like excitement or whatever. The other kids and parents apparently knew whatever, and then they gave out the pin, and then the gentleman actually took the button off of his jacket and handed it to me. So I showed that to the locals, the ones that I have seen repeatedly in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. What I would say, like, there's some pillars of strength and there's some that I don't know yet because they don't know me, I'm assuming. There's also a gentleman on the shorter side who wears a hat that has a symbol and it says Air Force underneath it. I didn't really get a good look at the symbol, but I walked up to him randomly by the train station tonight, and I asked if I could show him this, that it was really important. Oh, I told Bob, by the way, because Bob's like, why are you showing this to me? I said, well, you're an important community member, aren't you? And he goes, I am? And I go, aren't you? And he goes, whoa. And I'm like, I mean, you live here, right? Makes you important to me. So then, so the Air Force gentleman, who was like a little old man, and he was doing his little shuffle, same shuffle I do with the problem with my nylon sheaths not being lit properly in my lower extremities. It's a weird shuffle. It's like, it's an old lady and old man shuffle where they just, it's your body just doesn't work properly in body mechanics to literally lift your leg. And I mean, it's such a struggle, but anyway, it's partial paralysis, but through a devious, insidious manner. Don't want to teach people I don't want to encourage it, let's put it that way. So there was that little gentleman tonight, which I don't know his name is. I showed him the buttons. Then as I walked on, there's another gentleman, not Mr. Sullivan, but he looks like he could be, I think Mr. Sullivan's one set of bars, and that I don't know if it's actually Brian Dempsey himself, but he came out to smoke a cigarette. I've seen him several times, never spoken to him before. And I went up to him and I said, can I show you something real quick? And I said, you see this pin? I said, it's really important. I said, and then I told him that my grandfather, who was in this neighborhood, who used to wear a jacket, this pattern, he was from northern Italy. I said, but because I asked if he was Irish, I said, my grandmother came here from Ireland. I was like, but my grandfather, it was northern Italian, and he wore a jacket that looked like this. And so I said, and these pins are really important. The problem is I don't know who gave them to me. I just know that he was an incredibly important person. And I said, and I hadn't even put emphasis on them for a long time. I said, but I was going through the sewing box looking for something else, and I stumbled upon them again to make mention of them in this time frame, in this part of whatever. I guess the journey. So then I left that gentleman. I wished him good night. And then I finished up and I walked back. So it is Bayside Station, Bayside, New York 11361. It is Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken. This is the flag, although it's not a regulation flag, but it's just an example because I don't want to give whatever away. But that's where, or what they pledge allegiance to since I arrived in this area that they call North America on my Rapoggle, and they call New York. I have to think about this. I'm in Long Island, but I'm in the Queens section of Long Island for counties. And so that's my small Bayside community that I've walked the streets with the gigantic umbrella and the smaller umbrella. Something to leave like a memory with. I mean, I'm a crazy umbrella lady. I mean, even the woman with the Eddie Bauer shirt, she even said, she says, I see you all the time. She says, I always say to whoever I'm with, look, it's the umbrella lady. And I'm like, thank you, to be noticed, I suppose, and whatever. And I have to think about this. So, because I know there's like boutique security, but it's nationally recognized and known. But we're in like a tumultuous period because I shouldn't have been left this low for so long, and other things to grow so dangerous. I heard on television tonight there is something called a Simone Biles. She went to something called an Olympics. She's incredibly caramel coffee color, like dark. And she went to something to do with the FBI, which I mean, they're not really clear as to what they all do. So she went to the Met Opera, and then she flew to Washington and was there the next day doing something. I know that in the New York area, for my hometown representatives and Department of Homeland Security, there's a retail shopping store. Same time I worked in Eddie Bauer's. It's called Bloomingdale's. BLOOMINGDALES. A gigantic copy of my Girl with the Pearl Earring from the Frick collection was actually, I don't know if that was Nordstrom or Bloomingdale's, but it was in one or the other. As a montage or like an homage, which I never actually physically got there to see, but Linda told me it was there. But there, inside this Bloomingdale's, they have something written on the bag that's called the medium brown. THEMEDIUMBROWN. Now, there's a lot of people out there who have copied my story, copied my purpose. I'm here to protect the crown. The crown sits atop my head no matter what. I protect the planetary crown. My crown is not some fancy, bejeweled, like, it's a bejeweled, fancy, but on a whole nother spectrum. It actually is symbolic of the importance amongst the entire hive, the entire establishment, the entire planet, the entire multi-systems. It's a sacred atheist ritualistic and tribal family member. I was taken from that type of importance at Amplexus and rubrics in order to do this prison, like sheetrock prison. I've been to Broadway twice in my entire life. I bought tickets to something called Avenue Q to take a friend named John Iannuzzi for his birthday once. And then Lewis took me when I was little to see Les Miserables. Only 2 times I've ever been to Broadway. Other than that, I've never. And then in Las Vegas, Warren Thompson gave me free tickets to see some Cirque du Soleil, which I didn't know was totally naked. And that was, but I was sitting in the lighting booth, thank God. Being totally embarrassed that whatever and whatever. But luckily my eyesight's not that good, especially from that far up. So that happened. Right, so there's the medium brown, which I know goes back to, there's a French, like Angola, I mean, it's like where, and then there's Mongola, and then it's like, what angle are they coming at me with? I mean, I am in charge of the whole hive. It could go either way. It depends on where they are. Did they get out of their home territory, and who are they disturbing in the park, in the range, home on the range, something along those lines. I mean, it's that simple for me, but I know movies and societies overcomplicated it, was giving the kids way too much sugar and way too many compliments and way too many gold medals and not enough importance in, like, you're doing it all wrong. So that's God's honest truth. So here we are. I'm in Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. Nicole Cattaruzza, star 1978, star 8378. And the other thing I heard tonight was Dog, the Bounty Hunter. He looks like Hulk Hogan from WWE or F or whatever, from what I've seen in passing. He wears his hair like Hulk Hogan. He's got some kind of feather thing, but I think he thinks of himself more as like a native spiritual American or whatever he's associated with. He said, I think he's the one, if planetary arrest reminds me correctly, the people that I need to know, I believe he's the one who calls the mother the house. So it's, wait, they broke your mother's house. So you mean, like, how did they break into your mother's house? Well, here's the thing. They left me in the field around the people that I shouldn't have been around, and someone broke into my house. And then I carried a child I did not want to have in that manner because I couldn't get back to where I belonged to. Because the house that I was delivered to when I fell out the foxhole, like Alice in Wonderland, down the rabbit hole, when I came out of Linda, it was like already confusing nightmare when they turned the machine back on. And there's one more thing to that, which is the bounty hunter with Dog, the bounty hunter, and that cross-references, and then when I was little, Lou and Linda, like when I was in Bayside, they signed me up for gymnastics, which was really tumbling at best. And then they signed me up for ballet, which I tried, but there was some really aggressive, tall and aggressive, dark-skinned girls in the class. and I was just not feeling I was not gelling with them, and I was not feeling whatever it was that they were. They were just not my people at all. And so I don't know who they are and who set that whole disgusting thing up, but on our recital night, I was the tiniest. They put me out first, and the music kept playing, and then the girl just pushed me behind me, even though my timing was off. And then it was just like, oh, I fucking hate you humans. So anyway, so that happened. And then when I was out in Huntington, I asked Linda to sign me back up for gymnastics. Maria was going to gymnastics, so I wanted to go back to gymnastics. And she found this place called Gold Medal Gymnastics. When I went there, there was a coach by the name of Kevin, Kevin, dark skin, like coffee color, medium brown, one or the other man. He said that he trained Olympic athletes, and he was hired to come train us. I'm like, all right. I have no idea what that means, because the Olympics was not a word that I had ever really heard. We never really watched it. It was not a big thing where I came from, in like Amish and no TV, more books and quiet time. But Kevin was nice enough to train me, but it wasn't intensive. I mean, it was, if that was like Olympic gold medal gymnastics, that is the most pathetic coaching I have ever seen on any playing field. I'm just saying, it wasn't Kevin necessarily. It's just the crap that he was dealt in order to keep me on some god-awful beaten up path, along with the rest of the fucking anarchists that were trying to pretend to be nice and pretending to participate in like an altruistic manner. But it is so clear to see that not one of you shitbag humans did a fucking thing that was needed or that was good for me since the day I arrived.